Children are a heritage from
Children
the Lord.
are a heritage from the Lord.
Children are a heritage from the
Children
Lord.
are a heritage
Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord.
This is the AAMO podcast where we believe that children are a heritage of the Lord. I am Adam Ray Cochran, one of the directors of Abolish Abortion Missouri, and I'm here again with Wes Scroggins, our beloved president. How are you doing tonight, Wes?
We're doing all right tonight, and I hope you're doing well also, Adam.
Yeah, especially after our meeting last night. So AMO got together and we got some good news, and we've got another of our A3 series that we're going to bring to you tonight, and a little sub-series in that. But anyway, let's get to that housekeeping. What is the good news, Wes? We got a couple of things to look forward to.
Yeah, well, you're talking about debates, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
A
about.
couple of debates, and so yes, Dr. Tim Faber has accepted an invitation to debate on the Amendment 3, and that debate is going to take place on Friday evening, September 25th, from 7 to 9 p.m. on that Friday night. It's going to take place in the Lake of the Ozarks area. We don't have a specific location yet, but we should hear hopefully within the week. I'm hoping that we're going to have that specific location, the venue nailed down, and we'll pass that information on when we get it. But again, September 25th, that's a Friday night, 7 to 9. If you can, please attend. All right.
Mhm.
The other is that I've had a debate invitation accepted by Mr. Kerry Wells, and Kerry Wells is the vice president of Freedom Principle, Missouri. And so that is actually going to take place next month in August, and it's going to take place on the radio. So it's scheduled for Tuesday morning, August the 18th at 7 a.m. on KSGF Radio, the Nick Reed Show in Springfield, Missouri. And so for those of you that want to listen, it's live streamed. All you have to do is just to go to the KSGF website, and it's 104.1 is the FM. If you're close to Springfield, you can listen to it on the radio. Otherwise, you can connect computer, phone, and listen to the live stream. But you can do that, Adam, just by going to their website, and on the main page, you'll see a button for Listen Live. And so that's going to be Tuesday morning, August the 18th, 7 a.m.
Yeah, write those down if you can be there live for the Tim Faber debate. Awesome. We have time to get to that. There'll be more information released on that. Make sure you're a part of the emails and all that. Also, the radio program. That's great. So I'm glad we finally got some debates. And the thing is the topic of that debate is worldview, trying to get to the nitty gritty of the worldview that says yes or no on Amendment 3, especially with everything coming up. So that's what we want to get into tonight. This will be sort of a sub-series. You're going to see a slide with 3 points. We're going to talk about point 1 and then come back in another next week podcast anyway to talk about either another point or 2 points. But anyway, we want to get down to the nitty gritty. Let's start this sort of sub-series of this A3 series and talk about the first point. Let's bring up the slide. And there it is. And so we're going to bring up this first point. Wes wants to come in here and talk about how the new Amendment 3 rejects the view of absolute truth and of absolute rights and wrongs. So take it away, Wes. What is it about absolute truth and absolute rights and wrongs here?
Yeah, well, what we want everybody to think about is really the worldview that underlies this Amendment 3, right? I mean, you've got the proponents that are out there saying, okay, Adam, I mean, you've heard this, that it's okay. This is good. It's good. And we need to support A3. We need to vote for it. We need to support it. We need to pass it because it's the right thing to do. All right. What we're wanting everybody to do is just to think about the belief system, right? The worldview that underlies that logic and that position. All right. You always want to look at, the assumptions and the beliefs, the worldview upon which something is based to determine,
Yeah.
whether it's right or it's wrong. And so, when you really think about it, Adam, what the A3 is based upon, Amendment 3 is based upon, it's not based upon a biblical worldview. I mean,
Yeah.
it rejects that. And that's what that point on that slide is talking about. It basically says there is no absolute right and wrong. All right. And under that first point there on the slide, you see the words teleological versus deontological.
Mhm.
Deontological, biblical worldview is a deontological view. It means there's absolutes, right? And so God has said, thou shalt not. God has declared what is good. God has declared what is evil. And when it comes to killing children, he has said, thou shalt not. The teleological, real quick, there's various versions. I'm not a scholar in moral philosophy by any means, Adam, but I know that there are various kind of versions of it, and
Yeah.
one of them is consequentialism,
Yeah.
and basically the idea that consequences, justify right or determine right and wrong. And one that the listeners are probably the most familiar with is utilitarianism. And
Yeah.
utilitarianism basically argues that what is good, right? What is right, what is good is what results in the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. And so
Mhm.
teleological worldviews basically argue that it's the consequences, it's the results, it's the outcomes of something that
Mhm.
determine whether that something is good or evil, right or wrong. And when you think about it, Adam, that's what A3 is.
Yeah.
That's the view that it's based upon, and that's what the proponents, these groups and these people like Missouri Right to Life and Freedom Principle Missouri and Missouri Protects, Tom Estes and Sherry Kutencooler and Liberty Link Missouri. This is what they're arguing is
Mhm.
that it's good, it's okay, right?
Mhm.
Because hopefully what they're hoping the end result is that it results in the repeal of the current Amendment 3 in the Constitution. And what they're arguing, when you really think about it, folks, they're saying that killing these groups of children, these exceptions, are okay as long as it leads to the outcome of repealing the current A3. Folks, that's teleological. It's a complete rejection of the biblical worldview of absolute right and wrong.
Yes, and I mean this could lead back into the last podcast. We just got a few minutes here, but ends justifying the means is
Mhm.
pretty much what you're saying. Is that they would hold on to, and we don't have to get into the objections yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there, but it comes down to it does not work. So
Yeah.
if you're in a world, right, where God has created it, He's made the image, made man in His image, He made them male and female. In that world, this should not work. And what would you say for since 1973? Has this proven to work?
The answer is no.
So where is any sort of evidence that so you're still relying on just bare ends justifying the means? And where do you see that in scripture where we are to be able to have this principle of the ends justifying the means?
Yeah. And that's what I'm asking these proponents, these groups, these leaders of these groups, Adam. That's what I'm asking them to defend is where do they find a justification for this in Scripture? And the problem is they can't find it because it's not there, because it's not biblical to begin
Yeah.
with.
So Wes, just to crystallize this and say a minute, we'll just give one final push here of what you would want to say to this absolute truth and absolute rights and wrongs.
Well, the fact of the matter is, there is absolute right and wrong. There is absolute truth, and God has declared it, and we
Yeah.
can't change it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so folks, just let me end by just asking you the question. I mean, is this really, those of you that claim Christ, is this really what you believe? I mean, do you really accept this worldview, this teleological worldview that as Adam said, outcomes ends justifies means and determines what is right and wrong. Do you really believe that? Do you really accept that? And is this the kind of society in which you want to live, in
Mhm.
which right and wrong, good and evil is determined by the purpose for which something serves? Is that what you really want? We're going to continue to pursue answers to that question in the upcoming podcast.
Yes.
But think about it.
Think about it, and think about it underneath the terms of the Great Commission that we are, as the church, are supposed to disciple the nations, teaching them to observe all that Christ commanded. And that's because why before that is that Christ is not vying for a seat at the table. He owns the table. And what are we supposed to do? And whenever it gets funneled into this Amendment 3 yes and no issue, whenever we could have had so many other options discussed in the past two sessions, as you know, that's the big question. What is the Great Commission work here that we need to be doing as the church? And I believe it ends up in abolition. So abortion needs to be abolished, and it needs to be abolished righteously and not that way. So anyway, that is this episode. We will get back to it next week with another part of this slide, this sub-series on worldview. We hope that this is helpful to you. I hope this brings lots of discussion for you. Give this to a friend, share. Please go to our website, abolishabortionmo.org. Sign up for our email list if you haven't yet. If you would love to give to the campaign to vote no against 3 here righteously. So please give us a donation. Any amount helps. Any amount of times help anyway, and your money will be seen in that. So please do that. But yes, please come and check back again next week, Lord willing, with another Worldview podcast here, and come back with any complaints or comments, whatever you got. We would like to answer some questions utilizing this medium as well. And we hope the video is awesome on YouTube. So all you YouTube folks, hi, how you guys doing? Hopefully this is good for you and the links are easy for you. So anyway, until next week, this is the AAMO podcast, where we believe that children are a heritage of the Lord.